foolishness. Ruth was a Moabite. It wasn't that Ruth believed God. Please understand this. It's not that Ruth believed God to become the grandmother of David. Ruth just was in a situation, and she approved those things that are what? Excellent. So look, if you are looking out for yourself, what I can get, you will miss it. Are you following what I'm saying here? Look, I have a friend. I was share something, but I have a friend. He said one day, he's come to preach here before, and his ministry took a new leaf. And what happened? He said he was invited to come and speak in America somewhere. And when he got there, he said the whole hall was empty. In fact, let's say the time of the meeting is 7 o'clock. He got there at 7 o'clock. The pastor came, and they were trying to put equipments together. There was nobody in the hall. He said, look round, and you want to ask yourself, have I wasted my time coming to this place? Are you following what I'm saying here? And then suddenly God spoke to him, and he said, it was like God opened his eyes, and he stepped into a prophetic dimension there of his ministry from that point forward. And something, entered. But it came not in a big, attractive meeting. So they will bring a meeting for you to preach in a village where the honorarium is yams. Do you understand what I'm saying? And they will bring one for you to preach in America. The honorarium is dollars. If you follow the dollars, heaven knows. If you go to meet God, and God says, go on to the one with yams, is foolishness. But remember, that which is well watered can be Sodom and Gomorrah. Are you following what I'm saying here? If you look at things and say this is a no-brainer, you will miss God. Ruth, look at Ruth chapter 2, verse 11 to verse 12. Ruth 2, 11 to 12. It says, and Boaz answered and said unto her, it has fully been showed me all that you have done unto thy mother-in-law since the death of thine husband, and how thou hast left thy father and thy mother, and the land of thy nativity, and had come to a people you knew not here. Look at the next verse. And the Lord does what? Recompense thee for thy work, and a full reward be given thee of the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to do what? Trust. This thing is for people that take unusual action. So please, look at Genesis 19. This thing is a fearful thing. Look at from verse 1. Think about it. If Lot did not behave this way, what would have happened to Lot? Look, there came two angels to Sodom at the evening, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, and Lot seeing them rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face towards the ground. Verse 2, and he said, behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and you shall rise up in early and go your way. He didn't know why they came. He says, and they said, no, but we will abide in the street all night. Verse 3, and he pressed upon them greatly. What if they were not in his house? What if that man didn't have a heart of hospitality? What if he didn't want to inconvenience himself? Are you following what I'm saying here? He pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him and entered his house, and he made a feast. And listen, he didn't know. What about Rahab that we know today? She saw spies. How come she was the one that said, I will help these people? I hope you know the people that didn't do it, all of them were wiped out. Choices. You know, we talk about the big principles, I'm confessing, I'm praying, but we miss it in the voice. We've talked about David. Do you know that even after they brought choices, even after they brought back everything that the Egyptian slave helped them? Look, let's look at 1 Samuel 30, verse 15. Now, this after the Egyptians said that they got all the goods, got everything back. And David said, can thou bring me down to this company? And said, swear unto me by God, thou will neither kill me nor deliver me to the hands of my master, and I will bring you down to this company. Verse 16, and when he brought him down, behold, they were spread abroad upon all the earth, eating and drinking, dancing, because of all the great spoil that they had taken out of the land of the Philistines and out of the land of Judah. Look, God gave him a promise, but the connection to the fulfillment of that promise was help that he rendered strategically. And this is not just, the first person that came to you. Are you following what I'm saying here? Do you get what I'm saying here? Look at the next verse here. I just want to show you something. And David smote them from twilight. Now, verse 18. So they got everything back. And David recovered all that the Amalekites had carried away. And David rescued his 2 wives. Verse 19. And there was nothing lacking to them, neither small nor great, neither sons nor daughters, neither spoil, nor anything that they had taken to them. David recovered what? All. Verse 21. All right, verse 20. And David took the flocks and everything. Verse 21. Now see something again. And David came to the 200 men that were so faint that they could not follow David, whom they had made also to abide by the brook of Besor. And they went forth to meet David and to meet the people that were with him. And David came near to the people and saluted them. Verse 22. And then answered what? All the wicked men and men of Belial, of those that went with David. So there were wicked men that followed him. Are you following what I'm saying here? Look at what it says here. And said, because they went not with us, we will not give them aught of the spoil that we have recovered. Save every man his wife. They said, listen, we're not sharing this matter with these people that didn't come and fight. Do you understand what I'm saying here? David had to make another decision. If he made the wrong decision, he could have reversed what happened. Look at what David said. Then David said, you shall not do so, my brethren, with that which the Lord had done what? Had given us. Who hath preserved us and delivered the company that came against us into our hands. Which means that you can get blessed and people can even make a decision. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's why let me tell you something. Being vindictive is to reverse all the blessing of God on your life. Are you following what I'm saying here? Because Africans, we like pepper them. Do you get what I'm saying? Look at the next verse. It says this. For who will hearken unto you in this matter? But as his part is that goeth down to battle, so shall his part be that tarrieth by the stuff. They shall part alike. Next verse, it says, and it was so from that day forward, and he made it a statute and ordinance for Israel. Which means these people stayed with our stuff while we went to fight. They should be rewarded for staying with the stuff. So anytime you come into a test, this is what I'm saying, as you go on, you come into a test. I want to show you a test. Because I've seen that it's decisions. The highest form of faith is obedience to God. Highest form of faith is that God told you something and you went ahead and you went to do it. Abraham was tested. What did Abraham do? Anytime you are tested, there is something you need to offer up, not something you need to get from people. Why are people stuck in their tests and trials? Because there is something to give, not to take. The Bible says he offered up Isaac when he was tested. In Hebrews chapter 11 verse 17, when he was tested, when the test came, he looked in and said, there's something I need to release. I'm about to bring it home. Then we will pray into the new year. So when any unusual thing happens in 2026, any staring around you, know that God is close. Don't forget what I'm saying before you warn the neighbor. Do you know that God comes powerfully in casual things? There is nothing secular. All things are spiritual. When he came to meet Moses, it was a bush that was burning. When it was time to call Peter into that great work, he was at fish. He had caught nothing. Jesus came there and told him, he said, push me. So be slow to speak. When you are faced with issues, be slow. Before you get into your feelings and then let them tell, I'll give you a piece of my mind. Be slow to what? Speak. Because some of you tonight, you should gather all your mind from where you have given all the pieces. Be quick to hear and be slow to wrath. The anger of man never works the plan of God for your life. Anytime there's anger, know that God's plan cannot be fulfilled. So don't think about what I should get or how people should treat me. But think about what I should give in your time of test and who is around me that I should help. When faced with a situation, now there's a massive lesson here. Exodus chapter 15 and verse 23. They got to a place, it will always unfold. When they came to Marah, they could not drink of the waters of Marah, for they were bitter. Therefore, the name of the place was called Marah. And when you come to this place where things that want to make you bitter happens, you know, what did Moses do? Look, let's go on to the next verse. What did Moses do? The people murmured, so they got into their feelings against Moses, saying, what shall we drink? And Moses cried unto the Lord. So what Moses did was, went to meet God. And the question is, what should I do? Listen, don't go to him and say, give me this. Ask him, what should I do? Because he has already set in motion what will be the consequence of if you do the right thing. The issue is, what should I do? You know what Jesus said? Mary said, first miracle of Jesus. Mary gave us the clue. She said this in John chapter 2 and verse 5. If you are in any situation, his mother said, whatsoever he says unto you, do it. In other words, you're a young lady, you dated somebody for 6 years, he broke your heart, walked away. Listen, you are guaranteed marriage if you do to that person what God says do. But if you get into your feelings, now what he will tell you to do is foolishness. If you tell anybody, they will tell you something is wrong with you. Your family members will call you that this thing, this trauma, you are suffering from PTSD. That's why you want to behave like this. I'm telling you this secretly. God is deep. I've said this before. I drove past Bishop Keith Butler, their church. The place was a beautiful place in Detroit. He said, you won't know this. We built a church somewhere. Everything. When we finished the church, built it, he said, God came to me and said, as we were driving by, I said, that church, that's your own church. He said, he told God, why did you let us finish the money before you now told us where we are going? God does it because that church you are building is for somebody else who doesn't have money to build it, nor faith. God told him, go in. He said, how can we go? How can? Finally, the day he went in, he was a bishop in the Catholic Church. He just walked in. Just to go and negotiate, the man said, Keith Butler, the man we want to sell it to. He looked at him and said, I can't afford. He said, how much do you have? We will sell it for what you have. I asked him, he said, you don't know the seeds we have sown, what we have gone out of our way to help people. Exodus 15:23 here. It says, and when they came to Mara, they could not drink of the waters, for they were bitter. The name was called Mara. And what did he say? The people murmured against Moses. I want to show something here. And then we close with this. He cried unto the Lord and said, and showed him a tree. So the Lord showed him a tree or a branch. He said, cast it into the waters that were bitter. And when he cast it, the waters that were bitter were made sweet. And there he made a statute, an ordinance, and there he proved them. And said, if you will hearken diligently to the voice of the Lord your God, and do that which is right, not in your sight, but in his sight. He says, none of these things, diseases, were brought on Egyptians, for I am the Lord that healed thee. In other words, he's saying that any bitter situation or situation that can bring bitterness into your heart, if you do what I tell you to do, that bitter situation will become sweet. And sickness will find it impossible to lay itself on you. Look at what it says in Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 29. Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 29. Oh, that there was such a heart in them that they will fear me and keep all my commandments always, that it may be well with them and with their children forever. He says, oh, that they had that heart in them, that instead of doing it the way they think they should do it, that they will come up to me in prayer and hear my commandments. He said, if they are like that, he said it will be well with them forever, and it will be well with their children forever. So let's look at practicals. I'll tell you a story and then I'll tell you about my life and bring this to a close. You know, I read of a man in China. Now this is what we are saying. So we'll bring it home. It was like dry season and it seemed like there was famine. So he developed this equipment there, his rice field. And what happened in a time of drought? He built a water wheel that would lift water from the stream into his field. Now, his neighbor had 2 rice fields below his. His own was on a higher ground. So he will bring the water wheel and water all of his rice field. And this neighbor who had 2 rice fields beneath him, once he finished watering it, what he will do was that his neighbor, which had 2 rice fields, one night made a breach there and drained all the water from this man's field into his own field. So he got there. Where's my water? It's gone. Please hear me. I'm saying that this is what Christianity is. You can be doing hacha, hey Lord, do it Lord. Listen, this is Christianity. He did it the second time, water drained. Third time, water drained. Fourth time, water drained. He now said, what are we going to do to this guy who is stealing our water? Remember the words of Jesus Christ. It is hard. If you take your coat, wait in Jesus say, give them your word. I'm telling you, it is foolishness. That's where breakthrough is. He said, so he called his friends together and said, this is not right. Now, it is what is right in God's eyes, not what is right in your own eyes. Not what is legally right, what is scripturally right. The law was made for the lawless man, not for the Christian. The law is not our standard. We won't violate the laws of the land. We have to keep it. God spoke to him. Your friend needs water. So what you should do is go and pump water and first water